Radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Well. Good evening, everybody. How you doing? It's Fade to Black. Today is Monday, December 1st, 2025. Let's do this, man. Yeah, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This week on Fade to Black tonight, Suzanne Ross is here. We're going to be talking about love and portals. Love and portals. That sounds like a British synth pop band from the 80s. Yeah. Maybe there was a band called Love and Portals. Tomorrow night, Michael Tellinger is here live from South Africa. We're going to be talking about his work into human origins. Wednesday night, Maureen St. Germain is here, Akashic Records. And then Thursday night, Barry Littleton. That's right. He's a contactee. And we're going to be talking about his amazing experience and so much more in the future of us and disclosure and all of that fun stuff Thursday night with Barry. And my next event coming up is in February. It is the Conscious Life Expo, February 20th through the 23rd, 2026 at the LAX Hilton. I do believe this is my 12th year hosting this event. I think it's 12. And yeah, absolutely incredible. And I was talking to Michelle today, our producer, and she goes, Jimmy, next week is the Fade to Black anniversary. And I said, yeah. She goes, so we're going to do an anniversary show on Friday. I said, no, we're not. We'll do it on Thursday. I'm not going to do it on Friday. But yeah, next Friday is our anniversary. And I think she says it's 12th. I think it's the 13th. I don't know. I don't know these things. I said many years ago that when you get to a certain point in all of this, it's just trying to do the best you can on the next show and just keep trudging forward. Because, when you first start out doing something like this and you do 100 shows is a lot. And if you're doing a podcast once a week, well, that's 52 weeks in a year, right? If you're doing something like that, a live radio show once a week, that's 52. So to get to 100, it takes a couple of years to do that. For us, because we're doing 4 shows a week, we get there in, I don't know, I'm not that smart. What is that, 6 months? And so you get to 100, you get to 200, you get to 300, and these are, pretty amazing numbers to get to. When you get up into the thousands, like where we are at right now, I probably the last big number for me was when we hit, exciting was show number 1,000. That was a big deal. And they're all a big deal because we're surviving and we're continuing the program. But I don't know the anniversary of the show. I'm so focused on creating the best content and having the best conversations and of course the TV stuff and Beyond Belief and Into the Vortex, always focusing on doing the best that we can on the next show. What's your favorite show? My favorite show is the next one. My favorite show is tonight. Suzanne Ross, right? That's the focus. But apparently next week is our anniversary. Now, we just came off of the Thanksgiving weekend. I hope everybody had an amazing Thanksgiving. However you spent it, that it was a great Thanksgiving for you. I went out to Simi Valley to a friend's house, Lisa and Jeff, and it was really cool. Hang on. Little scratch in the throat. And it was great hanging out with friends. It was a perfect dinner, perfect night. And then I came back and I did something. That's right. I binged Stranger Things like the rest of the country. Holy crap. It lived up. Now it's the first half of the season, right? Okay, so it's like the first 4 episodes. Wow. So well done. The Duffer Brothers are so good. So well done. So well done. But as crazy as Stranger Things is and was with this season 5, you want to really see a nightmare? You want my recommendation for taking scary up a notch? Go to the Bitcoin marketplace. Go look at that madness. Holy crap. That is the scariest thing. If you've got real money on the line and you're dealing with that, it's Stranger Things is I don't know. Stranger Things is a Saturday morning cartoon. It's a whole nother whew. Yeah. And if you haven't checked out that insanity, go and peep that out. Go and peep that out. It's crazy. All right. So to take our minds off of that stuff, off of Stranger Things and off of the Bitcoin market, woo, let's chill out. It is the holiday season. Today is December 1st. The holiday season, of course, kicks off with Thanksgiving. We're going to roll into Christmas Eve and Christmas and New Year's Eve and New Year's coming up this month. And it's just a great time of the year. One of my favorite times. And so to take our mind off of all of that and to focus on love, Suzanne Ross joins us tonight. Love and Portals. Yeah, it does sound like a 80s British synth pop band. Love and Portals tonight. That's right. Suzanne Ross is here. And we're going to talk about how unconditional love can open up interdimensional portals. We're going to explore the science of vortices. We're going to talk about sacred sites. Yes, and I think she's going to list some. Frequency, energy, and of course, collective intention. We're going to go through all of that, and we're going to talk about her great conference out there in Sedona that we are going to do. Suzanne, I'm going to throw her under the bus a little bit. She came up with this idea. She goes, why don't we do Fade to Black on the stage? I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So that's what I'm going to do out there. An amazing list of speakers and presenters for that conference, and the links for that are below. Of course, we run commercials for it every day. So if you want to visit Sedona with us, the links are below. Tickets are on sale and early bird and all that stuff. All right. So I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only. She's right here. She's not in Sedona, though. She's on her palatial estate in San Diego. Here she is, Suzanne Ross. Suzanne, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jimmy. It's so fun to be back on your show. You're hilarious. Love and portals. And then my mind started going strange places. Opening portals with love. Okay.
Well, that's it. But see, Suzanne, that's your thing. You are a bright ray of sunshine, but doesn't Love and Portals, doesn't that sound like an 80s British synth pop band?
It could be.
You weren't into 80s synth pop?
I don't recognize that. I love 80s old school. I mean, 80s was like B-52 and Devo and like,
right.
Yeah.
I know what I was thinking of. Love and Rockets. You remember that band?
Okay.
So Love and Portals, get it? Love and Rockets.
Not too different, yeah.
Not too different. Those bands, that era, of course, the rock and roll was, fully going with Van Halen and Quiet Riot and all that other stuff. But Human League, remember
Cars.
Human League? What? Cars. And the guy that sang that song, Cars, was pretty cool too. The guy from Germany. His name escapes me. Man, that was a big hit. Doom, doo, doom, doo, doo, doom,
I recognize that already. Yeah.
yeah. Cars, doo,
80s
doo.
was great.
Um,
Yeah.
but that was such a great creative time because synthesizers were new, drum machines, that sound was just a fresh take on music, and it was just a really fun time for me. I was a heavy metal guy: Judas Priest, Van Halen, Rainbow, Bring Me, all that stuff, Twisted Sister,
Rush.
Iron Maiden, Rush, all that stuff was just bright. And then this pop synth stuff started coming out of Europe, and it was all catchy. The Church, man, I love The Church. Just such a great time. So is that where your heart lies, in that
80s
genre?
old school. Yeah. I mean, some 90s, because I went to college in the 90s, but I went to high school in the 80s, right?
Right. Do you remember, as we're going to get into love and portals tonight, do you remember when MTV went live?
Totally.
Was that-
Absolutely. We were
was that-
glued to the television for MTV, man.
Kids today don't know. We had it so good. The countdown, remember, man, it's going down Tuesday, man. Right? It's going down on Tuesday.
MTV countdown, absolutely.
Yep.
Those dance videos, those rock videos, those were great.
Yep. Hey, man, Keith's house down the street has cable. They're going to have MTV, right? You know what I mean?
Right?
And we would all be at our friend's house in front of the 24 hours a day. Oh, man.
Air guitar, right? All of us were acting like we were the band members with the microphones and air guitar and drumming, and everybody's stoned. And
yeah. I don't know how the parents in this country dealt with it, because they had that TV didn't change its channel for months, right? It just never. MTV never stopped. Pat Benatar, huh? Pat Benatar.
oh yeah, she was great. I had my little cassette tape in my little Carmen Gia. I had a 1969 Carmen Gia.
Oh, that doesn't suck. That sounds great.
It was great.
We would, and I'm not exaggerating. It sounds like I'm exaggerating. You would break out of school, wait for the bus, get on the bus, get home, and run into the house and turn on MTV. Just could not wait for it. Oh, man. So I haven't watched MTV. I suppose it's still on. It is, right? But I haven't watched MTV 30 years, maybe, probably mid 90s, somewhere back then. When was the last time you watched MTV?
Well, MTV has some movies on now. I've watched a couple of movies, and the movie starts out with MTV. So MTV is producing some movies on Amazon Prime that I've watched, because
I have seen that. Yes. You are right. I've seen a couple of documentaries and things, and maybe even some drama. Yeah, MTV. Yeah, that's right. I have seen that. Wow, I completely forgot. But MTV itself, the channel.
Yeah, with all the dance rock videos. Yeah, that was classic.
Oh, man, I miss that stuff so much. A friend of mine, Ricky Rockman, who he had... what was that? He had the Friday night show, Hairball, Hair Metal, Hair Nation or something on MTV. He's from LA, and that's where we became friends. He's retired. He's out of the business. And you know what he's doing? He's riding his Harley around the country doing a video podcast, or whatever you call that, travel blog or something, on his Harley, and he's been doing that for 3 or 4 years, just riding around. He's doing really well with it. But and he headbanger's ball. That's what he did. Headbanger's ball. Am I right with that? Headbanger's
I
ball.
recognize that totally. Yeah.
And I've known Ricky since we were kids. And but that's what you do. You graduate and look at what I'm doing now and what he's doing. But yeah, I have no idea what's going on with MTV. How do we get started on that? Oh, Love and Portals. Love and Portals. Okay. Phew. Okay. Let's actually start here. Let's start here. We've got a lot to discuss tonight. When I go to Sedona and I'm with somebody from Sedona, this is what happens. Don't laugh. You're going to want to laugh because this is exactly how it is.
I'm laughing already.
Yeah, I know. So you've got a friend in the passenger seat, right? And you're driving through Sedona, and so there's a portal over there at the bottom of that cliff. But the better one, the one that we go to, is over here. But you know what? No, the best portal, if you go straight ahead, it's just like, man, what's going on with Sedona with this? It's a travel destination to the portals. There are tour guides for the portals all around Bell. You know what I mean? Is it really like that out there?
I mean, I had the opportunity to do that. I worked as an independent contractor for Sedona Mystical Tours. So, tourists would come to town and they would hire us to take them out into these vortex sites and explain the spiritual and scientific, energy behind these vortexes. And then once we get to the destination, I would tune them into the vortex. And by then, I had sort of explained, the science behind the vortex, the effects of the vortex. And so then, doing this like tuning into the vortex, they were, so into it by then. Even husbands that the wives would drag along who were skeptical, after I gave them the full scientific explanation of how this is legit, then they would drop into being tuned into the spiraling energy. And I would watch people as, they'd start spiraling around. And, I would start with my crystal bowls and, drop into meditation. And it was great. It was great. I love doing those. And I mean, people had life-changing experiences, Jimmy. People could really feel the power of this spiraling energy and the effect, the elevating, uplifting, transforming effect it has on your being. Have you experienced that?
Has anybody ever gotten married?
I actually have married people because I went online and became someone who can marry people. I have the certificate, Jimmy.
I mean, you know what I mean? To have the overwhelming moment, overtake everybody, and the next thing you know, has anybody ever, gotten married or met at a vortex?
I don't know about meeting at a vortex, but certainly people have gone, and I would do these things called sacred union or something where, we would really drop into the energies of Sedona. And, obviously we're talking about love opening portals, right? The power of union, right? Mm-hmm. And this sacred love, I think really amplifies that experience of feeling into what's possible in Sedona. I believe Sedona is a focal point, and we'll get into that more, but I believe that Sedona is a sacred site, just like these other sacred sites on planet Earth, the temple sites, right? That Sedona is an ancient crystal temple site. And the Hopis call it that. The Hopis say that it's the city of the star people, right? And they believe that at one time, this was a crystal temple city. And, if you spend enough time in these red rocks and you start looking around, you can certainly see, we know for one that there's plenty of crystal in those red rocks. You can look down and there's places where the crystal's sticking up right out of the red rocks, right? But we know that just underneath that layer of red rock is pure quartz crystal, right? But then as you look out on the red rocks and the formations, you can see what looks like stairwells, leading up the side of these mountains and pillars on either side. And you can imagine doorways. And, I really do believe that some kind of ancient crystal temple city.
When you come around, I talk about this so much, but depending on how you approach Sedona, it's all the same. It's the same view, but what you're winding around, and then in your car, and then all of a sudden, kazam! Right there it is, and to experience that kind of beauty, that kind of natural. You know what I mean? It is the full color spectrum. It's all there in front of you, glowing, and it looks CG. It looks like some crazy animation, but it's for real. It's absolutely incredible. You have to experience it for yourself. Everybody talks about it, right? And I remember hearing about Sedona before the first time I was there. I was like, yeah, it ain't all that. Come on, man. You're putting it on thick, and then you see it for yourself, and it's a holy crap moment, isn't it? Sedona it's singular on planet Earth.
We drove in the very first time from Flagstaff. We took 89 coming in through Oak Creek, right? Coming in through the Oak Creek Canyon there. I think that's one of the most glorious ways to enter Sedona. And yes, all of a sudden, these magnificent red rocks appear before you, and it's magical. It takes your breath away.
It's crazy how beautiful it is. There's a few, but there's in Oak Creek, there's a few civilization kind of starts right there. And there's this one coffee shop before you get into Sedona, and stop there, get a coffee and go out into the parking lot and just look across the creek, and it's oh man, it's crazy. It really is. And I'm not putting too much on it. I'm not. It is absolutely beautiful. You mentioned the science. What is the science behind it? Why does the magic happen? What's the science behind it?
So there is a red rock iron ore on the surface that gives it the magnetism, right? But the spiraling energy comes from the Earth's iron spinning core. Okay. And then there's what's called tubes. They are called lava tubes, volcanic shafts that create an opening between the Earth's iron spinning core and the surface. Now, lava no longer spews up through that, but it leaves an opening, a tube for this spinning energy to spiral up through. Now, it also goes through that quartz crystal where it picks up electricity. So now what you have is you have magnetism from the red iron ore, and you have electricity from the quartz crystal, giving you an electromagnetism. It's a spiraling electromagnetic field that spirals up onto the surface, right? And then what you get on the surface is this spinning energy. It's stronger in certain places. Many people have gone out and measured this electromagnetic spinning energy and have determined areas where there's a greater velocity or a greater breadth of the vortex.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And just you need somebody to explain that to you. While you're going through it out there, like, man, ooh. And if you don't know what's happening and nobody explains it to you, it could feel like probably you're on a boat or something.
But I also think that it's not just energy coming up from the earth. I think that it is a focal point for the cosmos, and that's true for all of these sacred sites around the world. You know, J.J. Hurtak and others would say there's 12, right? There's 12 vortex sites, and sometimes called time warp areas, where we're not just getting that energy up from the earth. Energy is coming down from the cosmos to these 12 sacred sites around the world, creating portals where cosmic energy, cosmic currents can come in.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. It would almost line up and correlate with the concept of an Einstein-Rosen bridge or wormhole or something like that, which time travel and time warp and these ideas certainly stem out from that. But there's been so much conversation about experiences with people around the world that have these strange occurrences with time and emotion and everything else, possibly tied to a geographic location. And it could be exactly that, couldn't it?
Absolutely. And I would go so far as to say, as above, so below, that these 12 sacred sites on earth could be connected to 12 different sites in the cosmos. What if each of these 12 different sites is related to a different constellation in the cosmos? Maybe even a different star race, right? So these geographic sites on Earth are a projection or mere reflection of 12 sites in the cosmos. It could be constellations, it could be star systems. And so if you think of it that way, then there's a cosmic influence at each one of these sites that gives it a different type of experience, a different energy, a different essence, right? There's a different type of experience if you're an Egyptian, temple site, versus whether you're in a Mayan temple site versus, you're in Sedona, which I believe was a crystal temple site. And what are these cosmic influences? Are these different star races? And so what we're experiencing is their, energies, which would be different than, a different type of energy we're receiving from a different place in the cosmos. I've often wondered that. And so if that's the case, like, what are we experiencing in Egypt? It really seems to be connected, Egypt to Orion, doesn't it? How those three pyramids are aligned with those three, belt stars, right? So maybe that has an Orion influence. Maybe Mayan is more of a Lyran influence. And I've explored that before. Mayan, Lyran, they kind of rhyme, but let's explore the possibilities, right? If that's the case, maybe Sedona is Sirius. A lot of people talk about the importance of Sirius, right? As being maybe a center for consciousness. And from that center, that type of Syrian consciousness is directed onto a sacred site, maybe Sedona. You see? So I
Yes,
think
I
that's
do. I do.
fascinating.
Well, last week, Suzanne, I don't know if you saw this, but last week, this material scientist, PhD, published a paper, peer-reviewed, that suggested through math. I'm just going to say that, through math, going back and looking at previous physics, looking at, how do I say this, the origins of matter and what comes out of matter. And the paper is this is a material scientist suggesting that consciousness is first, that consciousness is non-local, not local, where physics, chemists, biologists, and so forth have always stood firmly on consciousness evolves out of chemistry in the brain. it arises from there. It is not external. Of course, our community has always been the opposite with that. Consciousness is universal and so forth. And science has absolutely drawn a line in the sand. Does not want to discuss consciousness. Again, it's just a chemical process that we don't understand. It arises from particles. Well, this paper was published, and to suggest, now this is a published where all of the data is given that it's consciousness first, then matter, then time, then space. It's not consciousness created from matter, space, and time. And wow. But we already knew that, didn't we? Right? And so now what if science flip-flops on us and starts to, join our party, our family? I'm not so sure if I'm comfortable. I like fighting about it with science. You know what I mean? But if that's the case, then everything that you're talking about right now is just part of the game.
More and more physicists are recognizing that consciousness is fundamental. And there have been some very famous quantum physicists who have said that outright. Consciousness is fundamental, and everything emerges from that.
Well,
and even that, there's a neural network, right, that connects us all within this field of consciousness. And they've taken some pictures of the cosmos that looks like a picture of the brain. It's like neurons and these, streams of light, this neural network that connects everyone. And yeah, I think that they're starting to understand that, each one of us is like in itself, like a universe. And
well, when I look at those deep space, deep field images from the James Webb and, at different frequencies, and you see those spiraling spider webs, especially when in those vibrant colors, connecting stars and connecting galaxies. And he's just looking to go, well, that's consciousness doing its job. That's what I see. And science is trying to make sense out of all of this. But if we just get back to the basics here, Occam's razor, it's consciousness. That's the energy that they're looking at. And start there, open up your mind a little bit, and let's study that instead of trying to figure out why consciousness evolves out of particles when they make contact, which doesn't even make any sense, but to them it does.
Well, they'll even say things like the number of neurons in the brain is the number of galaxies in our universe. Right? And then there's dark matter, right? And how it's like 96% dark matter and only 4% visible matter. And then they say that we only use 4% of our brain or 4% of our DNA, and the rest is junk DNA, or we're not using 96% of our brain. When they say there's only 4% visible matter and 96% dark matter in the universe. I mean, there's all of these connections, Jimmy, that I think are pretty mind-blowing. And I think that physicists now are starting to see and, put together these ideas that we could be sharing one mind. We could be part of, one being, and we are all interconnected in this neural network, right? Each one of us is a mind within this one great mind, this neural network.
You're bringing up fundamental. You're bringing up the most fundamental point. Everything is 5%. And which shows us if we understand or know about 5% of everything, then we don't know shit. We don't understand anything, do we? Right? You can't tell me, you can't come at me as being a physicist or a scientist or a cosmologist, right? A chemist, anthropologist, and tell me that you understand it all. Clearly you don't, because you say that we only, They apply the word dark to something that they know nothing about, to sound like they understand it, right? Dark energy, dark matter. What is that? I don't know. We can't see it, but it's there. Huh? You don't understand anything, man.
The more you know, the more you don't know, right? But I
Yeah.
do believe that as we progress on our evolutionary journey, we expand our consciousness. And I think that's true for each dimension that we advance into. So, on this alpha omega journey, we can say that we came from the light and we fell to the depths of the lowest dimension you can incarnate on. Right? But now we're turning towards the light and we're finding our way back home. And as we traverse and transcend each of these dimensional levels, Jimmy, I think what we'll discover is that there's more and more and more light, right? There'll be less, dark matter. And pretty soon we're talking about now there's 50% visible matter and 50% dark matter. And ultimately, maybe we'll enter into, the light, the alpha, the origin and destiny, the sea of golden light, right? I think that they call it in Islamic mysticism, the Ein Sof, right? And
Well, okay. So let's stay right there on that idea, which I love, by the way. I'll stand by that. Is this chicken or the egg, right? Which came first? So apparently, with this paper that was published last week, consciousness came first. So if consciousness came first, then I want a physicist to sit down and explain to me the Big Bang. But let's back up. What does Big Bang even mean? Does it mean explosion? Does it mean something else? What are you trying to convey? What is it that you want us to understand? And if consciousness was first, then it would be an explosion, an expansion of consciousness creating everything. And wouldn't it be a brave new world? If that's the case, if consciousness is first, it's not a universe from nothing, which is what they want us to understand, right? That's the whole thing, something from nothing, right? Well, consciousness was first. So it wasn't something from nothing, it's something from consciousness. And that's a big step in our evolutionary process, if you ask me.
And simulation theorists might say that it was a digital Big Bang. And this game came online with the digital.
You smoke too much of that Sedona weed. You smoke way too much of that Sedona weed. That's an interesting concept.
Right? And a lot of it is really fascinating when you start to think of a digital Big Bang, right? The game came online. And then all of these different things, the speed limit of the universe, right? Which would be the speed of light, right? Could be some kind of bandwidth. There has to be certain parameters, certain game code written so that this universe could function, within these different measurements, if you will, like the, speed of light as being the speed limit of this particular game, right? And so, if you listen to some simulation theorists, there's some really compelling ideas to say that, well, that's just the game coming online, the Big Bang. And it's only the Big Bang for this particular game. There's many, many, many games being played. And even if we were to take the game theory out of it, we could say that the Big Bang was only for our local universe. I mean, much of the channeled material that you hear is that we are a young solar system. We are a young galaxy. Our parent galaxy may be the Andromeda galaxy. But all of this is within this little local universe, which is in a much larger super universe. And we're only one of 7 super universes in this grand universe. And there's a central universe at the core. which is the source of it all. And beyond the grand universe, there's a master universe. I mean, this comes from the Urantia book, but it's to say that the Big Bang that happened 13 billion years ago, that's nothing compared to the trillions of years ago that, this whole system started to be created from the source at the center.
Did you think like this before Sedona weed? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But here's the thing. But here's the thing with that.
Yes, by the way.
But,
and I never smoked weed.
Here's the thing.
I don't do drugs.
Me neither. Me neither. I have experienced everything. But anyway, here's the will we, and this is the pot talking, right? It's like, but will we ever get to the edge of the universe? Will we ever see it? And you stop and you think about that because it's so dang big. But it's not the speed of light that we need to concern ourselves with, or being transported at those speeds. It's finding a way to get there without achieving velocity, right? A wormhole, some type of portal where you can transport to the other side of everything instantly, and you're not dealing with the speed of light or gravity or food or sleep or time dilation, right? If you go to the edge of the universe and see what's out there, and you did it at the speed of light, when you came back to Earth to talk about it, Earth would be gone. Right? It'd be a trillion years later or whatever it would be. And time dilation comes into play. But if you do some kind of portal jump between dimensions and then out into the multiverse, then you don't have to deal with those issues, right?
I do. I think this idea that point A and point B, and you bring them together and they're right next to each other. Right? I think that's what you're talking about, like sort of the Einstein-Rosen bridge, right? It's when you bend space-time, literally. And then that implies that space-time is malleable. And I believe
Einstein said it was. Einstein said that it was. And can you imagine if it was the same as taking a step? Right? You stand up and you take a step. That's how long it would take to go to the other side of the universe. That's insane. And people go, well, how do UFOs get here, those great distances? Well, they don't do it because it's a great distance. They do it because it's not a great distance. It's flip the way you're thinking on this. And I say that to scientists all the time. They're so fixated in this materialistic, right, deterministic, methodical, that it's always the speed of light and you can't overcome that, and it's fuel, it's time dilation, it's impossible, it would take billions of years. If you travel at the speed of light, this is the argument they always give, Suzanne, I laugh at it, to go from one side of our galaxy, the Milky Way, to the other side at the speed of light, it will take 150,000 years. Okay? And that's just our little pinprick of a, part of the universe, right? The Milky Way, this little tiny little galaxy. But it is 150,000 light years across. But that you're not going to concern yourself with that.
Exactly. Getting tied up in that. I think that these more advanced civilizations have figured out a way to transcend space-time. Right, Jimmy? And then there's also, like, if you think about dimensions too, like one time I saw a UFO in the middle of the day. I'm walking my dogs down a gravel road. All of a sudden, I feel compelled to look up in the sky, and it's as if the sky unfolds a UFO, and it's sitting there in the sky, just spinning, and the sunlight is glinting on it, if you know what I mean. So, you can see it standing, it's shivering, it's shimmering there. And then all of a sudden, the sky, it folds back into the sky and it's gone. It's like the sky unfolded and presented it, and it spun and sat there, and then the sky swallowed it back up again.
That's a class A
It's
sighting.
almost okay. And so, right. And so then space-time is what? A fabric. It's the fabric of space-time. We've all heard that. It reminds me of the Truman Show where he lifted up the curtain, right? Like there's some kind of curtain, or we call it a veil, right? But the fabric of space-time, allowed this ship to be shown and then swallowed up. It's so I think there's something to the fabric of space-time and how space and time are interwoven together in such a way to contain us in this bubble, right? This bubble around our planet, you could say, right? And maybe that's the stratosphere. And all you have to do is penetrate that stratosphere. And obviously, these advanced civilizations have figured that out. And it's not about building a craft that's going to go some 150,000 light years. They figured out a different way to get from Sirius or Lyra or the Pleiades, right, to come here and penetrate our stratosphere and be shown.
They do it with consciousness.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
don't know. I don't have the magic recipe for this. I don't have it, but I think we're getting close.
Well,
it's something so ridiculously basic, but we just don't, we haven't tied it all together yet. We understand the concepts, especially with our community. We get that. We understand consciousness and we love it and everything else. But there's something that either we had in the past, we could do it, and then we let money and capitalism and technology get in the way, and we stopped using that 95% of our brain, right? That part of our DNA. But I don't know. I don't have the answers. But ET does. ET does.
And then we think about how they say everything's a thought form, everything's a mental construct, right? So, and everything's an illusion. So are we, sort of manifesting these things? Like, I'm fascinated by UFOs. And, I've talked to you before on the last show about my father's abduction, and he was always pointing up into the sky. And, so I always believed that there were beings from other planets who could come here and crafts. And so I see them just like other people who are fascinated by it, and they see them. And then I have a missing time experience, right? So I think belief, maybe lineage, different things.
Love,
right?
Yeah,
has something to do with.
There's going to be certain people that aren't allowed to sit at the kids' table, though.
Yeah.
Politicians can't come in. Can't come in. There's certain, you know what I mean? Where, I don't know, I can't do it. I know, and you never will. That whole Dalai Lama, maybe the Dalai Lama specifically, but that whole thing about karma and reincarnation and you think about the way Egypt weighs the heart against the feather.
Yes.
Right. All of these concepts have always been in play, and so, without a deep understanding of what empathy is and what love is and what caring for others is, that's not to say you can have empathy and drive a Rolls Royce. You can. It depends on how you got that Rolls Royce, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's not about that. Capitalism is good. You know why capitalism is good? I'll give you an example. Right now, you ready? You and I are talking about love, empathy, portals, and vortices right now because of capitalism and technology. It has enabled us to do that and
Yes.
communicate out to the community. That's a great example of it, right? Are you following? So it's
Absolutely.
yeah. But we weigh your heart. It's so funny, man. Where the ancients, when you look at the Dalai Lama and you look at Egypt and even China, South America, look at these old established concepts of what being good means. Right? We've lost sight of that. And we've been talking about it for thousands of years, and then somehow it just faded away.
Speaking of the Rolls Royce and these concepts of materialism and spirituality, so I have to share this funny story. So I'm at my March event in Sedona, and
you pulled up in your Rolls Royce. You pulled up in your Rolls Royce.
Right. Yeah. In my dreams. But anyhow, all of a sudden I hear, oh, there's these guys. They drove all the way out from Kansas or something just to see you. And they want to talk to you. And I'm like, really? Okay. Well, so come on over here. Found kind of a corner to go chat. They came to tell me that I was enslaving everybody there by charging them to be there. And I was like, what are you talking about, dude? And he goes, you're part of the enslavement because people are forced to be enslaved because you're charging people to come to your event. And I'm like, well, when the event venue doesn't charge me anything, when speakers don't charge speaker fees, when hotels don't charge, when the airline's like, I got to pay hotel, airline, speaker fee, venue, vendor tables cost money. Like the marketing is 25 grand. I mean, like when everybody will do all of this for free. Okay. Until then, how did you get here? Oh, in a car? Oh, really? And did you have to buy gas? Right? Did you? And where was that car made? You had to buy gas. Did you email me? Oh, you must have a computer. I mean, I was just like, okay, bye, security.
Most people that make those comments, and I used to, in a weird way, feel angry and felt compelled to respond and reply to the people that would post this comment. And everybody has seen it. I'm certainly not planting a flag here. I haven't discovered anything new, but you get those comments. It's just another person making money by writing a book. And I'm like, if you only knew. So most of the people, it's funny because you and I have done enough conferences. I would say that you and I have done as many conferences as anybody else in the community, period. So, and we have so many friends that have invested their time. They have a day job. They write a book while have a day job. Right. And doing that, they write a book, they do the research, they put in 10 years of this and that, and they finally get around to writing a book that they self-publish, and they pay to get a vendor table and drive across the country with a couple of cases of books, and they go and they set them down on the vendor table, and they bring 100 or 200 books with them that they paid for in advance out of their own money. And then they sell 20 or 30 books there. They take 100, 150 books back with them. Now they've spent money to be at that conference. Food, hotels, everything else they're not complaining. They are contributing to the community. They want to share their experiences and their research and everything else. But the people that make those stupid ass comments do not know what it takes to write a book, go to a conference, and support the community in the way that they do. They don't have a clue. So I quit responding to it because what's the word? I'm going to use a good word. The person that makes that comment is adult. And if you don't know what adult is, look it up. But it's true, and that's why this community is so bonded and so put together. We go to these conferences, we hang out, we share our research. We're like a traveling carnival, right? We're just
Totally.
a traveling family
Yeah.
out there on the road, just doing our thing and supporting each other. That's why it makes me nervous, Suzanne, to have the government and the Pentagon talking about UFOs and UAPs. That was our thing. To have a physicist now talking about consciousness, that's our thing. Stay in your lane, right? Stay in your lane. This is our fight, not yours. But be careful what you wish for, right?
Right. And at the same time, if we get scientific explanations, for some of these things, it'll bring more people on board. I really feel like quantum physics specifically can be a bridge to spirituality, and also the other way around. Like, my father was an atheist, but he was very much a scientist. And believe it or not, he read the book, The Source Field. Right. David Wilcock wrote the book, The Source Field, before all the other shenanigans. Right. He really wrote this incredible, very well researched, this fat book. Right.
Yeah, it's a good book.
And my father came to live with me for a while, and I had that book, and he was fascinated by it. Right. But it started to open his mind. And then as he started to open his mind through this very well-researched book with some scientific facts and data, then he became interested in some of my more spiritual material, but still like the Law of One series, stuff that's still kind of advanced explanations, about the structure of reality and blah, 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 And so I think that science can be a bridge to spirituality, and also spirituality can be a bridge to science. So,
yeah, but there is a bridge too far. You know what it is? You know what the bridge too far is?
It sounds like your next book.
Yeah, right. This is my fear. Then we've got, some atheist physicists. I don't want to name names, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't want to name names, but we have somebody like him going, I knew it was consciousness all along. No, you didn't. Stop with that. That's my fear.
Yeah, I hear that.
We need their support, but I don't want, I knew there was ET visiting Earth. No, you, sir, stop.
Right.
Oh, man. What are you gonna do? And now here's the other thing. What about the way, we've got 2 minutes, so we'll set this up for when we come back after the break. What do you make of the way that the Neil deGrasse Tysons of the world, the scientists of the world, are now trying to push on the rest of the world the idea of extra dimensions and the multiverse, and connecting between the two of them, and not only with quantum science and the quantum world, but their conversations about traveling between dimensions and between the multiverse scientifically, when this community has been talking about that since the dawn of man.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Consciously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about it when we get back, or do you want to talk about it now? Because quantum jumping, we can talk about all kinds of ways. And what about back in the day, all these projects, right, where they were putting people in, like in Montauk, people were jumping into different, time zones through all of those experiments they were doing with the Montauk boys back in the day, all these projects, Project Stargate.
The chronovisor. Remember the chronovisor?
Right? Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Suzanne, stay right there. Our guest tonight, Suzanne Ross. Tonight we're talking about Love and Portals, the 80s pop synth band out of the UK. They were absolutely amazing. We're going to talk about their history and all of their gold records when we come back after this short break. Suzanne, stay right there. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. I am hosting, speaking, and presenting once again for the Conscious Life Expo, the largest conference of its type in the world. February 20th through the 23rd, 2026 at the LAX Hilton. Speakers, event, and schedule easy. Just visit consciouslifeexpo.com. I will be hosting and speaking at the Sedona Ascension Retreat, March 20th through the 22nd, 2026 in Sedona, Arizona. An amazing list of speakers. And it's beautiful Sedona. Come and hang out with us and just go to SedonaAscensionRetreats.com. I'm heading back to the Midwest for the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through the 3rd, 2026, in Delavan, Wisconsin, at the Lake Resort. It is beautiful. This is a great conference right in the heart of the Midwest, where I'm from. I'll see you there. Just go to Contact Modalities Expo, that's XPO.com. I will be hosting and presenting once again at Contact in the Desert. That's May 28th through June 1st, 2026, the largest UFO conference in the world. Come and hang out with us June 23rd through July 1st. Tickets and everything else that you need is at contactinthedesert.com. Want to change your life? Want that paradigm shift? Then visit Peru with Brian Forster and myself for the Inca Celebration of the Sun. June 23rd through July 1st, 2026. A full 10 days of visiting the country, all of the amazing sights, and of course, the celebration of the winter solstice. It's all simple to do. Go to hiddenincatours.com. Come join us for the Monty Python Scotland Tour, August 1st through the 9th, 2026. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event where you get to go to the castles from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. August 1st through the 9th, 2026. Just visit HaleyARamsey.com. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. Jimmy Church, Gaia TV, Fade to Black, here at Machu Picchu with Brian Forster and Hidden Inca Tours. Amazing tour so far, Brian, but we're here to announce what we're going to do next year in 2026. What's going on?
Okay, November 2026, we're going to have our major tour of Peru and Bolivia, either a pre or post tour of Paracas and Nazca on the coast. And then after that, 6 days in Easter Island.
Bucket list, Easter Island. Come join Brian and I and his amazing team here at Hidden Inca Tours for Peru, Bolivia, and Easter Island. Signing out. Say goodbye, Brian.
Gang.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, the one and only Suzanne Ross, is with us. Love in Portals tonight. And what a great conversation. And this reminded me during the break, Suzanne, portals and these vortexes are a strange subject to those that haven't experienced them. And I've experienced them in different parts around the world. But one of the craziest things, I'm going to share this with you, very brief. There's a place called Muru in Peru, and it's in southern Peru on the way to Bolivia. And it's this key-shaped thing that's on the side of this hill in this red sandstone, and the village, the history behind it and everything else has been going on for a long time. Nobody knows how old it is or how it got there, but the stories from the indigenous people there are incredible. So I'm there, and I go through the ceremony with the shaman and everything. Everybody leaves. I'm standing there by myself in front of it, and the sunlight, the sun is just coming up, right? It's early in the morning. Beautiful, by the way. It's insane. So I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, this electricity, my eyes are shut. I'm facing the sun, and this electricity comes up from my legs. It's shimmering, and it goes, and I'm holding my hand, and it goes all the way to my fingertips. And I'm like, wow, I'm shimmering. This is crazy. And I open up my eyes, and standing next to me is this lady that's with it, and she's doing the same thing. And she's holding her hands up, and she turns, she looks at me, she goes, "Do you feel this shit?" I go, "I do." This is crazy. And I just shut my eyes, and it was nuts. It was crazy. And so now, is it geographic? Is it a vortex? Is it this? Is it sand? I don't know. But the ancients certainly knew about this place. And until you experience something like that, you don't really appreciate what we're talking about, do you?
I love those places where there is a doorway, right? And there's some places in Sedona where you can literally feel that doorway is an entrance into a different dimension, right? It's a portal. You can step through it. And I had Andrew Collins from Ancient Aliens come out to Sedona. I flew him out there several years ago, maybe 2018. And we went to one of those sites that was noted in the Rendlesham Forest binary code downloads. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
There
with
was
Jim
7 sites
right
they mentioned. One was Nazca, in Peru. One was in Nazca. One was Egypt. There was like 7 of them. One was Bolivia. Anyways, and one of them was Turkey Creek in Sedona.
Really?
And so Andrew Collins was very interested in the whole Rendlesham Forest incident and that binary code download. We are the eyes of your eyes from the year 8100. Remember? That was one of the, right? And Jim Peniston, Yeah, wrote that whole big book about it. Anyways, so Andrew Collins led us, a group of maybe 40 people, and we all hiked out to this, GPS site that was designated, in the binary code download, because they were latitude, longitudes. And so we had this GPS equipment taking us out there. When we got out there, there was a red rock wall, and it was so clear that there was a door carved there. And so Andrew sat in front of it, and we all gathered around, and he did this meditation of awakening the Earth's kundalini energy. Like there was a giant serpent, and we imagined it was like this female serpent that was coiled up in the earth, and it was uncoiling to come through this doorway, right? And sort of create a portal by coming through this doorway that then we could enter through it. It was profound, Jimmy. I've got some of this stuff. I recorded it. I was filming it with a camera. I had camera people there. It's on sci-spy.tv. It was wild. He ended up then also taking us in this meditation where we projected our consciousness into these 6 other sites, so that, then we were connected to all 7 sites. And it sort of started to feel like each site was connected to one of the 7 chakras, right? We were all transported multiple times in different ways throughout this day with Andrew. Oh my gosh. So now, talking about Sedona, the next day, because, Andrew does these vision quests. In fact, he wrote a book called The Vision Quest. And he had this vision that there was a birthing cave in Thunder Mountain. So really? The day after this big Turkey Creek hike, and this was part of an event that I was doing, this day after, so we then hiked into Thunder Mountain. If you park in the Thunder Mountain parking lot, you can hike into Thunder Mountain. But Jimmy, it's treacherous, man. And where he wanted to go, you're kind of scaling walls, and there's steep little paths, and he knows spring chicken. I know spring chicken either, but we're doing it like we're grabbing onto trees and pulling ourselves up. We hike up there, and we come around a corner, and he's like, bam, there it is. There's the birthing cave I saw in my vision. Sure enough, there's like this bowl, right? And he climbs into it. There was enough room for 4 of us to go in there with him. So, and I've got this on video because we're filming it. So we all climb in this birthing cave with Andrew. Now he takes us in this visualization meditation into the earth beneath Thunder Mountain. And here we are on one of those Egyptian river boats, those boats you see in the drawings, right? And he's got us on this, like the River Nile, underneath this birthing cave. We're all aboard this Egyptian boat, like we're traversing into the underworld. It was so freaking cool.
Man. These types of experience, they need to be, this is stuff that you can't, it's not funny, ha. I love it. I enjoy it, but you want to make sure you come back. Too many, you know what I mean? Too many, like at Amarumuru, there's stories that people went down there and never came back.
Bring us back, please. Bring me back in one piece with all my cells.
Yes. Yeah, you need to respect it, and you have to go into it with unconditional love. Best thing to do, take a puppy with you, right? So you get the return ticket. We were again, this is down in Peru. I could share experiences in different places, but anyway, there's a place called Naupa Iglesia, and it's off the beaten path in Peru, and which means church. Iglesia Naupa. And it's a cave. It's what made me think of it. So it's a cave on the top of this mountain. Treacherous hike, not again, right? We're not spring chickens, but totally worth the experience. So we're up there, and there's like 20 of us in the cave. And I've been there 3 times. All right. I've been there 3 different times. I'm going to be there again in a few months. I can't wait. So we're up there with our shaman, and he's doing his ceremony with his drums, indigenous language and all of that ancient language. He's doing his thing. And so that took about 10 minutes. And at the end of that, and we're all there, we're meditating. It's incredible. And at the end of it, you know what happens? Some things you can't make up. At the end of it. So the cave is maybe 30 feet deep. Okay. All right. The back half of the cave, which continues, but that's all walled in. The ancients put a wall in there. You're not allowed to go back there. Okay. So it's walled in with bricks, rocks, right? Cut rocks. So that's it. You can't go back there. At the end of it, and my eyes are still closed, and I hear a little girl laugh. He he. I was like, what? Right? And I pop open my eyes and I look to where the laughter was coming from, and it was coming from behind that wall. And so I'm sitting there going, wow, I'm thinking to myself, that was crazy. Person to my right goes, did anybody hear that little girl laughing? I go, dude, oh shit. Right? And everybody heard it from behind the brick wall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, man.
In the middle of nowhere on the top of this mountain.
Whoa.
And it's all about the vortex. Now, here's the thing. While I was going through that meditation,
yes,
I was shown at the top of the mountain, and it was a swirling, it was a vortex. It was an upside down whirlpool, right? Upside down tornado.
Yep, yes.
And then it went, out through the top of the mountain. And that's what I'm seeing. Nobody told me about this or anything. This is just the vision that came to me. So then the kids' laughter and all of that, and I'm just sitting there tripping out, trying to compose myself. We all heard it, and it was pretty crazy. It was a happy laugh too, like kids playing. And but I'm tripping on that because we all heard it. And then he goes, our shaman, man, this is what he says. He goes, okay, so now the importance of this mountain is that it has an upside down vortex that goes in this direction. And the light continues up through the top of the mountain. Behind this wall, the cave continues and goes to the top of the mountain. And that's where the spirits can go and come down.
Wow.
And I'm like, what are you saying? And so it's these kinds of experiences. For me, I try to be pragmatic, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But when you hear stuff like that through your own experience, that's what is revealed to me. There's something else going on here that we just clearly don't understand. We're trying to, and we're getting closer, but we certainly don't understand this. And scientifically, there's something going on, and we've got to get to these answers.
Well, it reminds me of Love and Portals. Because
Good man. You and I need to start a band. Let's start a band. Love and Portals.
Okay, it's all about frequency. Let's face it. Love and Portals. It's all about frequency. And
how
so
do you open them up? Do you open it up with love?
with frequency. Now,
Yeah.
let's imagine this. Not everyone's probably opening up with love, but you want to open them up with love, right? Because you want to connect with the love light beings and the benevolent star races, right? And so, we want to use these positive energies of high vibrational frequency, love and joy and unity and ecstasy and bliss, right? All with the good intention, the positive intention of connecting for benevolent reasons. We're in love with our galactic brothers and sisters, right? We're in love with all that is. We're in love with each other. We want to connect in love. And then in doing that, we can raise our vibration enough to create that high frequency spinning energy, or to resonate with the already vibrational spinning energy, right? So that we can really experience it, be transported by it, be transcended in that moment, in that space and place. This is what I used to do for people and with people when I took them out to these sites. Now, when you were just talking about that upside down, tornado, cyclone, what have you, it reminded me of the top of these mountains that we know of. Now, I'm going to say Bell Rock in Sedona, significant. And people have caught on camera. I remember this gal used to carry around this Polaroid that she had taken a picture back in the day when there were Polaroids of Bell Rock. And you can clearly see this stream of light. It looks like it's shooting out from it, but it could be shooting down into it, whatever, but it's, through the top of Bell Rock. And some people think that Bell Rock, now you're going to think I'm smoking weed, but Bell Rock is actually a spaceship that at some point in time is going to fire up its engines from below and, be there for us.
Doesn't
For
Bashar
some
say,
reason.
doesn't Bashar say when it
Esasani.
happened,
Mhm.
it's going to happen at Bell Rock?
Right. And he said like the Esasani craft was getting closer and closer and closer to Bell Rock. Last time it was like 5,000. Don't quote me because I don't, but it's getting closer and closer. So, but then I thought of Mount Shasta, right? Mount Shasta, you always see these cumulus clouds, around. Oh my God. So one time I was driving to Mount Shasta, and I was born in Shasta County, and so Shasta is near and dear to my heart, and had quite the little mystical childhood there at the forests of Mount Shasta. Had a retreat in Mount Shasta where we climbed halfway up the mountain, and we had this experience where we felt like there were eyes all around us. These girls I was with, we climbed halfway up, and all of a sudden we became aware, like we felt like we're being watched. There's some kind of like clearing. And all of a sudden we were like in this ecstatic bliss state, Jimmy. We were spinning around and acting like little fairies. Now, that's really not, me. I'm pretty practical, pragmatic. I'm pretty grounded. All of a sudden I'm like, spinning in circles. We're giggling and laughing. We're like, on shrooms or something. But we weren't. We were totally sober. It was this crazy bliss state that was created at Mount Shasta. But a lot of us, right, there's an opening at the top of Mount Shasta. Crafts are coming in and out, right? So is there a portal there, right? Is there just like Bell Rock or just like this mountaintop that you're talking about? Right? Again, and a lot of channeled material talks about focal points. Like somehow these different cosmic councils, galactic councils, what have you, they are sending in streaming consciousness, let's say, that is carrying encoded information, as well as this high vibrational light, right? It's a light quotient. So I think two things happen with the cosmic influence or support for our ascension. It's love and wisdom, right? it's not just, blissful, ignorant, bliss, love, and fairy light, right? It's beautiful, blissful, ecstatic love, yes. But there's also wisdom, intellect, required to transcend into a more advanced dimension where people are more evolutionarily developed. They're smarter, they're wiser, they're more, knowledgeable. It's a more advanced place to live and be spiritually, wisdom wise, technologically, knowledge wise, right? So, yes, it's love. But it's also important for us to make an effort to progress on our evolutionary journey, right? By, studying wisdom teachings, and not just studying them, right, Jimmy? Applying them. It's in the application of wisdom and knowledge that help us to advance. And, what we're trying to do is we're trying to resonate with the higher vibrational frequency of higher dimensional beings so that we can coexist together ultimately, right? I mean, many people say we can't come face to face with a more advanced cosmic being who's vibrating at a much higher frequency because of their higher consciousness until we can reach that state as well. Or maybe they can come down a little bit and we can come up a little bit and we can meet in between.
Sure. Yeah. And there's something about, I can't explain. I have seen 2 flying saucers. I've seen hundreds of lights in the sky and fun things, no doubt. But like flying saucer, like craft, I've seen 2. One was in Sedona, and we were up at the airport, right? I'm there with another friend, and I'm there with Michael Sedona, right? Everybody knows Michael. He's amazing.
Yep.
And so it's just the 3 of us, and we get up there to the airport. And for those of you that haven't been to Sedona, the airport, believe it or not, sits on top of a mountain. Right. It's so when you're in Sedona,
beautiful hike, Airport Rock.
Oh, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. Yeah. So when you're in Sedona, you look up at the cliffs. That's the airport is up there. So anyway, we're up on the cliffs, right on the edge, looking down over Sedona. We just pull up, and I'm getting in my backpack. I have my Jeep, and I'm getting in my backpack. I'm bent over, and I see something catches my eye from the airport side, not the Sedona side. And I turn and look, and there's this light coming at now. So this light is coming at us, right? Just like right. I was like, wow, is it a plane landing? Wow. Okay. All right. It's coming straight towards us. It's low. It's getting brighter and brighter. And I pointed, and I said, check that out. Right. Right. As we're just kind of looking at it, and this thing flies right over us. And we're looking, it's a frigging flying saucer. It's a round, flat, low, right? Low. I think we could even hear it. So, and it flies over us, flies over Sedona, goes straight out and over the trees and disappears. Now, Michael, who we all love.
Michael O. Sedona.
Yep. He's got amazing stories.
Might as well name yourself after the place.
Yeah, right. He's got amazing stories. Most of them are bullshit. He's one of my best friends. If you have a crazy uncle that tells crazy stories, it's Michael O. Sedona, who you want to go to. He's the best. But anyway, he has said many times that sighting that we had was the best sighting that he's ever seen. And that was in Sedona, and it was low, and it was big. It was crazy. It was a lit up silver flying saucer. Now I know what it sounds like, people. I get it. I know the words coming out of my mouth. This is what we saw, and it was in Sedona. Yeah, it was amazing.
When I have seen crafts, it's been when I'm doing something entirely unrelated to any type of, UFO, even seeking to see one, right? So like I told you, I was walking my dogs, taking my dogs for a walk. I wasn't thinking about UFOs at all. I'm just walking my dogs, and all of a sudden, there it is. Another time, I'm racing around Sedona in my husband's dune buggy, right? He's driving, I'm passenger. I'm not thinking about anything to do with that. We're just cruising around in the dune buggy. And we're approaching this red rock formation. And all of a sudden, I mean, I kid you not, Jimmy, there's a giant silver spinning disc, huge, right atop this red rock formation. I look over and I'm like, oh my God, can you see it? Look at that. It's giant. And I'm going crazy. And my husband's going, what the heck? And he's like, well, let me pull over. And, by the time he pulls over, gone. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about?
So
And I'm like,
was it for you? Do you think it was for you?
well, it's funny because my husband actually said, well, you saw it.
Right.
You can see it. I couldn't see it. Even if I had been there in the moment you were seeing it, I probably wouldn't have seen it. And I'm like, well, I don't know, but I saw it clear as freaking day. And it was a total shock and surprise out of nowhere. Suddenly there it is.
I love it when it happens like that. Whenever I see something, and the few times that, okay, I just described, flying saucers. I've seen two, flying saucer. I've seen other things, but every time that I've seen something, I've gone to the news and looked for the reports over the next few days, and there's nothing there. And I'm thinking, how is that possible? There's millions of people. Is it just that we're all looking down and nobody's looking up? Could be.
Partially. But yeah.
Or is it just something that was for you to experience? Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but I don't know what else to do with it.
There's intentionally trying to see UFOs, right? Because certainly in Sedona and during our Sedona Ascension retreat, we will have Friday night a sky watch with Chris Bledsoe, who calls in crafts and beings with the power of love. And then on the second night, Sedona UFO tour guide for decades, Melinda Leslie, will be guiding an actual, UFO tour. Will be in one place, but she'll have the night vision goggles people can share, and laser lights. I have been on a few of these UFO tours in Sedona, and it's shocking. So you go out there and you see the stars in the sky, blah blah blah. You might see a plane going across the sky, right? All of a sudden, as you kind of start to, your eyes acclimate and you focus on the sky, all of a sudden you see all of these lights just racing around the sky, up high. The plane's down here. Up high, straight up above, you see all of these crisscrossing lights, taking sharp 90-degree turns, crisscrossing each other. You're like, wow, that is a busy galactic highway up there. It's amazing.
Chris, I've done a few sky watches with Chris, and I got to tell you, I've done not hundreds, but I've probably done 100 sky watches. With groups, going out.
Right.
And always fun. Always see something interesting, and then I did the Chris Bledsoe experience. It's for real.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was with Chris one night. We had, I don't know, a couple of hundred people. Hang on, scratchy throat tonight. I don't know why.
Aw. Take some.
I'm with Chris. We got a couple of hundred people, and I was there with Captain Ron from Contacting the Desert. This is on the East Coast. We're out on the East Coast. And we're all sitting there, and Ron and I are leaning against this wall, not really talking smack, but we were just watching everybody, focused around Chris. And, and Ron and I are sitting there talking, and I just kind of look up, and I hear Chris say, he's got a microphone. we're on the outside of the group of people, right? We're like outliers. And I hear Chris go, okay, watch what this one's about to do. And I went, what's he talking? And I look up and everybody, and this thing, I swear, man, it sounds nutty, but it's on video. There's videotape of this. I think you can hear me in the background using some very colorful language. But anyway, this thing comes in. I swear to God, it does a loop-de-loop. And then splits. Now, you know, and when you see that for yourself and you experience, he called it. He called it. It was, that was probably, I was like, wow, well, you know, and to listen to everybody yelling and screaming and watch this thing, it did like 3 curls and then took off. No satellites doing that, no helicopters doing it. It was at altitude. It was way up there.
Yeah.
So much fun. Who else is okay? So pretty strong lineup for this Sedona Ascension retreat this year.
Yes,
I did mention we're gonna do a Fade to Black live.
Yay.
Yeah, that's
so
going to be pretty
excited.
fun.
So happy you're coming, Jimmy. That's going to be great.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
We've got, we just mentioned Chris Bledsoe. We've got
Caroline
Danny Sheehan.
Corey. Danny
Caroline
Sheehan.
Corey.
Yep. I'm excited to have Danny Sheehan. I've not had Danny at an event of mine yet, and neither have I had Caroline, but I had a great phone conversation prompted by you with Danny, and he's just such a great guy. Like, we're fast friends, and, you know, he's excited about being there. He's really excited to talk about, you know, the latest, and he wanted me to specifically say UFO, UAP, ET. Contact updates, right? And so, you know, he's a researcher. He's he's Citizens for Disclosure, right?
He's an attorney. He's an attorney.
He's an attorney, right? Yeah. And so I'm excited to have him. And Caroline Corey is a filmmaker, and she's made the film E.T.'s Among Us, right? And she's done a lot of consciousness research. So I'm really excited to have her. Yannicka Awareness, she's the podcaster of Wisdom from North, but has interviewed literally thousands of people over decades on YouTube before people were, you know, commonly using YouTube. But anyway, she's great. I'm flying her in from Norway. Sarah Bressman Cosme, who we all know and love, will be doing her QHHT hypnosis. And she's going to have a workshop where she's going to do a group past life regression. But on stage, she's going to talk about all of those people that she's hypnotized who have been bringing in ancient Atlantean knowledge and wisdom. I think that is so incredibly fascinating.
Have you done a session with her yet?
I have. It was like 3 hours long. I was laying on my bed. She took me through this whole thing. Oh my gosh. I had so many incredible experiences. One of them, I was sitting in the middle of a pyramid. I mean, yeah, it was.
But we did this event a couple of years ago, and I watched her regress somebody, and we had maybe 50 people there, and I was sitting in the back of the room, and as you know, everybody knows Sarah and I are really close, and we're really good friends. But watching her methodology and how she was doing it, I'm sitting in the back of the room, and I went, okay, this is a TV show. This is a TV show. So I went to her after that. I said, I got this idea. She goes, I've never done that. I said, well, let's do it. So I called Gaia and I said, I got this idea. Let's have Sarah regress me on camera in studio. Whoa, that's never been done before. Are you sure you want to do that? I said, I trust her. She's my friend. But I liked her style. And I think that everybody needs to see how this is done, and especially me, because I can be a dick sometimes talking about this stuff. And if I go through the experience and the audience goes through that experience with me, you know, because I am the guy that kind of goes, bullshit, right? I'm that guy. I'm that guy. So man, I went under like that. I couldn't believe it. It was like tumbling down a hill. I was in it. It was so much fun. She is really, really good. I can't speak for others out there because I've only done it the one time with her, but she is legit and she's got a certain way of doing it. I'm not sure if everybody can go under. Have you done it before? Have you done a session?
I did. I had a past life regression way back in like 2009. I had joined this group in Northern California called the Awakening Center, and the gal who ran it, she would do past life regressions. And I laid on a table, like a massage table, and she sat next to me in a chair, and she was actually transcribing, writing. And she like time traveled me back to other lifetimes that I had. And I became who I was in that other lifetime. One was a little girl. It seemed like I was Swedish. I had this little Swedish dress on. I was barefoot in the grass. There were sheep. My father was on a tractor. I mean, this whole experience unfolded, but I could feel the grass under my feet. Wow. I was that little girl, and she took me through like 4. But when I came out, I was like, wow, that was fast. It was like 15 minutes. And she was like, oh, no, young lady, you've been out for over 2 hours. And I'm, what? And same with Sarah, like, it's 3 hours. Like, but Sarah immediately transported me to this lifetime in Egypt. And immediately I was on a cold floor of a pyramid, right underneath the apex of the pyramid. And, you can imagine how that unfolded. And, then it was onto another lifetime, somewhere else. But, all along, it was like, why do you think you're being shown this? And what does it have to do with your life today? Which for me, and that was the same with the first one too, like trying to bring around, why are you being shown this? What does it mean for you now? So that it has meaning and applicability to this life. So there's a benefit, from doing it. It's not just.
You remember, here's my fear with that. Do you remember the movie Defending Your Life with Albert Brooks?
I do. Yes, okay. I do. That was great with Meryl Streep, and that was fantastic. They're all waiting in line to go to the other side. Yeah.
They went to the past
you had to watch
life.
The life review. That's great.
The past life pavilion, right?
Yes.
So they're standing next to each other, and she's watching her past life. And she's like a knight on horseback, right?
Totally.
Suit of armor.
Right.
And Albert Brooks, right? He's being chased by some cannibal, right? Or he's being chased by a cheetah or a lion, and he's free. And that's what that'll be my past life regression. It'll be something like that. I won't be the knight, riding around on horseback. And it'll be something else. The reason why I'm back here now. Remember in Defending Your Life, they go, you got to go back. Remember?
Yeah.
You didn't pass the judgment, man. You got to go back. And for all of us, here's the thing. Let me get your insight on this. If you're listening to us right now, that means you've been sent back. Right? You haven't moved on. You're not.
You're here again.
You're here again. Think about that before you do your past life regression. Think about that for a second. If you are here, that means you got some work to do.
What if though? True, because I do believe until we master the lessons that we came here to learn, we're going to have to keep coming back, just like in this lifetime. If we don't, recognize the lessons we came here to learn, we have to have the same kind of experiences over and again, right? Until we finally master them, and then we can move on and evolve, right? But what if some of us have volunteered to come here to this planet Earth for a particular mission at this time? What if, Jimmy, you're sitting there on Sirius and, you get this assignment from your galactic commander and it says, Jimmy, you know what? You got to go to that planet Earth. You got to go to that planet Earth, because they really need an MC.
Earth, really?
Right. Yeah, they need a radio and TV show host. That's going to explore all this stuff. And you're like, okay, well, that sounds all right. You sign a contract, right? You sign it, and then you board your ship, and you get dropped here, right? Or, you come in through you're genetically implanted in your mama's belly and you pop out, but you're not from here. Maybe you've never been here on planet Earth before, and maybe you have, but if you're here, maybe it doesn't necessarily mean that, you're back because you didn't master your lessons in a previous life, or you've screwed up in the previously. Come back and make things right again, and again and again and again and again, right?
Yeah. I before I signed that contract, double time. I'm on double time.
And then the ship will come get you and bring you back, right? Maybe that's what's going to happen, Jimmy. Maybe that's why you're doing shows about paranormal and UFO and all this. Sure. Like, all of a sudden you're going to be somewhere and the, ship is going to land and be like, hey, Jimmy, you did a great job. Wow, look at you, fade to black, into the vortex, right? But, your mission's done. Good job. Get aboard. Come on board. Let's take you back to Sirius.
You've got 2,000 more shows to do, Church. And then, have you seen, and if you haven't, take the time to do it. Have you seen Chaos?
Is it a movie?
It's a TV series about Zeus.
Really?
You haven't seen Chaos?
Good.
Okay. Hang on for a second. I'll tell you where to see it. I'll tell you right now. I can't remember where I saw it at. I've seen it like 3 times. And it is put out by. Oh, it's on Netflix. Okay, I'm writing it down. It's wait. Hold on. That's the wrong one. Hold on. It's spelled. Here it is. It's with a K. Kaos. Okay. All right. And Jeff Goldblum, by the way, plays Zeus. Cool. He plays Zeus. Now this is it's a fun series in its concept. It's set in this is modern times, and Zeus, right, god of everything, and how he messes with humans. All right. And so you're down here on Earth, like right now, all the chaos that we're experiencing here, and we're pointing fingers and blame and victims and everything else. But this series takes that concept, but it's Zeus. It's Jeff Goldblum with his gold glasses, and he's Zeus and in his palace in the clouds. And I remember seeing movies like this when I was a kid, these different Greek mythology dramatic films from the 50s, where the gods, right, in Greece would be sitting up in the clouds looking down and discussing things. And I always thought about that a lot. Like, could that, well, Chaos takes the concept of that, but applying it to the madness of today, and it's not us causing the issues, but we think it is, but it's really Zeus. Yeah, Chaos, Kaos. It's really, really good. It's really good. I look forward to watching that. I do think there's a lot of cosmic influences, like, the war in the heavens, right? Like in the book of Revelation, it's the war in the heavens, right? Between Archangel Michael and the dragon, right? So I think that represents like, good and evil forces in the universe that, have
influence on the beings here on Earth, as above, so below, right? Like, I really
Well,
believe
do you think? Let me stop you right there in the time that we have left. This is important. When we have open contact with ET, I'm just talking about sitting down with us, and it's like happening. Are these discussions that we should have with ET about
yeah,
what is going on out there, not only with obviously with consciousness, but what's happening on their home world? Do they have religion? Is there stuff going on out there in the cosmos? Is there chaos in the cosmos? Are there spiritual beings that are fighting with each other? Are there other light and dark forces that push the universe around? Do you think that
yeah,
this should be legit conversations with ET?
absolutely. So I have a deep, dark secret. I like to watch a little true crime. I
Oh, me
am
too. I'm
so
addicted to it.
fascinated, Jimmy. What causes these people to do these things that are
I'm
like
so addicted to
horrific?
it.
And what's so fascinating is some of them will say, I have no idea why I did that. And this one guy said, well, there's this demon inside my stomach, and sometimes he just comes out and takes over me. And then, he goes back in. I mean, this guy's already been sentenced for life or whatever. It's going to serve him no good to try to use it as a defense or anything. He's just trying to help this journalist understand, like, it's not me. There's a demonic force that takes over me that causes me to do these things. I mean, I've seen, and it's no justification, I'm just saying, like, it's a force outside of these people sometimes that's, causing them to do things unimaginable. And then when they look back on it, they're like, I have no idea why I did that.
Well, you
Snap,
have to, yeah.
right?
Here, when you look at somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ed Gein, and you're like, man, how? Well, you know what? He did it. But then back up and look at something like some of these. Look at Vlad the Impaler. Look at Vlad the Impaler, the original Dracula, right, in Romania, and what he did. And to stop and think, there is something much darker that's pushing stuff around out here. There has to be, and is that just simply ones and zeros, light and
Yeah,
dark,
yeah,
the
yeah,
balance of everything? It exists,
yeah.
but the good has to keep it in check.
I mean, I
And
think in 3D especially, there's a balance of light and dark here, Jimmy, the yin and yang symbol. Like, I think what we have to do here in the third dimension is master duality, right? And then in the next dimension, I think there's less dark and more light, and so on as you get higher and higher. But, in this dimension, there has to be a balance of good and evil, I think, to sustain this reality. It's almost like it's the integrity of the structure of this reality depends on the balance of light and dark, right? And so there's forces of good and evil, we could say, or light and dark, we could just say, without putting the judgment of good and evil on it. Because one of the things about true crime that really fascinates me is, okay, you have this person who does this, horrific thing or what have you, but oh my God, the people that come together to form a bond around this thing that happened, and then how it propels them toward causes and nonprofits that now, like, help humanity. I mean, it's crazy. And so in a way, what happened caused this whole tsunami of positive things to occur. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So it's like, does everything serve a deeper meaning and greater purpose, and is it being orchestrated by higher beings, ultimately to serve the highest good for all? I mean, these are the questions, right? Like, why the suffering, But do some people volunteer to come here to be the shadow so that there can be heroes and causes and motivation to be better and greater, right? Without villains, there's no heroes, kind of thing, So are the villains serving a purpose in that way then?
Well, you have to look at it like that, where what is it about the not only the understanding of us and light and dark and yin and yang, and how ancients have been talking about this for a long time, and then we have the science side of this and the balance of the universe, binary ones and zeros, light and dark, black and white, yin and yang, positive and negative energy, and all of this, where this is nothing new. This has been talked about for a long time, and it almost has to be that way. You can't throw anything out of balance, because if you do, then nothing operates correctly. There was an image. Let me find this. Hold on for a second. There was an image that was released last year of the first photograph of an electron. Okay. Now, you know what yin and yang is, the symbol, right? Positive and negative, all that, and what it represents. The first image of an electron was taken and published. You want to see it?
Yes.
There it is.
Whoa. Wow.
That is friggin' nuts.
That is cool as shit.
Yeah. And you look, and so the yin and yang symbol, which is this exactly, right? No, you don't have to squint your eyes or imagine or anything else. You go back, and if you lay these next to the ancient Chinese symbols of yin yang, it's identical. Wow, the proportions and everything.
Right.
So, right now,
that's incredible.
It is incredible.
So beautiful.
How did the ancients know that? Oh, it's just a clever piece of art, and it's just no bullshit. That is an electron. Now, could it be the fundamental core of everything that is? And I would say, after seeing that image, the answer to that is a clear yes.
Yep. Yes. I mean, the whole thing, male, female, the whole creation came into being, right? Through the Trinity. Like, you have the male and the female and the child, mother, father, God, goddess, and the son, daughter. Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That is awesome. I love it. I could just stare at it. For some reason, I'm like mesmerized by that.
When you show that to a physicist, that pragmatic atheist, physicist, non-spiritual, well, show them that. I'll go, okay, explain that to me, brother. Sister.
Yeah.
Explain that to
Contrast.
me. Makes sense in my 5-year-old mind. I need you to explain that to me.
I love it.
That's not coincidence. It's not coincidence.
That colorful one, it reminds you there's light in the dark and dark in the light. I mean, that's what the yin yang symbol is trying to tell you. It's not just these two contrasting light and dark. There's light in the dark and dark in the light. Like, it's all so interconnected, right?
There's so much we don't understand. And that's why now our tickets available right now for the retreat.
Yes. Go to SedonaAscensionRetreats.com. We extended early bird through Cyber Monday. So if you jump on before tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. You're going to get the early bird price because we extended it through Cyber Monday. But yeah, you can jump on, get tickets. We have all-inclusive passes that include outdoor journeys into these sacred vortex sites, indoor interactive workshops, the Skywatch experiences, and then you can get, a la carte passes and add on. But yeah, we're so excited about this 2026 Sedona Ascension Retreat. And the theme is opening portals with unconditional love.
I had a great guest on last week. Her name was Holly Hall, and from Toronto. She's driving from Toronto to the retreat.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So everybody out there, if you want to meet Holly, get your tickets and come out to the retreat. And everybody else that we just mentioned, there is a lot of great speakers and events that are going on there. But come on out to Sedona and say hello to Suzanne and everybody else. And then you'll also get to hang out with Holly Hall. She's going to be there too as well.
And Jimmy Church.
Stop that. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so much fun. Suzanne, always great to have you on the show. Again, you're a bright ray of sunshine for all of us. Thank you. Great conversation tonight. And I'll be talking to you soon, but I'll also see you out there in Sedona. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Love you, Jimmy. Love you all. Mwah. Night.
Love you back. Suzanne Ross, everybody. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Perfect night on the show. What a great way to start the week here on Fade to Black. And tomorrow night, what are we doing tomorrow night on the show? Tomorrow night is, Michael Tellinger is going to be with us from South Africa tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about his amazing work that we all love, Into Our Human Origins. All of that and much more tomorrow night on Fade to Black. Michael Tellinger. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. But for now, all I've got is Go Back Lee Tappy. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go back, Lee Tappy.